Two of the biggest stories in cannabis in the recent years have provided a preview of what the future of the global landscape of this booming industry might look like. They're kind of the, do you remember where you were when moments. First, there was the Constellation brand's multi-billion-dollar investment in one of the world's leading operators, Canada's Canopy Growth. Then more recently saw Canopy Growth enter into a very unique arrangement with one of the largest operators in the US, Acreage Holdings. That deal will trigger Canopy's future acquisition of Acreage when additional federal reform comes to the US cannabis industry, whenever that is. But that latter deal in particular has garnered a lot of commentary, questions, thoughts from the investment community. And it's not a surprise. I mean, this was a very innovative transaction. It was a complicated transaction. The Canopy Acreage arrangement is complicated for many reasons structurally to understand, and I think we want to talk about that tonight. But the promise of the transaction is not difficult to understand. If you think about the combination of Constellation, Canopy, and Acreage, this is the dream team. This is what every other player in the cannabis industry dreams they could assemble in terms of players, both globally, locally, nationally. So today, for the first time, we've assembled the chief financial officers of all three companies to discuss the cannabis industry in general, and in particular, the transaction that we're talking about. I'm Tim Seymour of CNBC and Seymour Asset Management, and today I'm joined by Constellation's David Klein, Canopy's Mike Lee, and Glenn Leibowitz from Acreage Holdings. Gentlemen, it's great to be here at a time the industry is going through such growth. And let's jump in right with you, David, and talk about, for one of the world's largest consumer products companies that's growing very fast on its own, why cannabis? And certainly, why Canopy Growth? It's a very interesting time to talk about that.
So as a company, we try to stay ahead of consumer trends, anticipate where that consumer is going. And we think Canopy is probably the single biggest value creation event within CPG in our lifetimes. And to put it in perspective, the cannabis industry in the US today is about a $55 billion industry. We think it grows to about $100 billion over the next 10 to 15 years. The beer industry in the US today is a $120 billion industry. The wine industry in the US is a $70 billion industry, and spirits is a $50 billion industry. So this is a business today in the US that's the same size as spirits. So we felt we couldn't pass an opportunity to really be at the forefront of creating value from that consumer trend.
And being a company that's been on the forefront, and I've followed you as a company as an emerging markets guys for years and doing things in other parts of the world. Why do you think you're first here? Why do you think you were the first player?
We're 74, 75 years old as a company, but we're still very entrepreneurial. Yeah. I think it's really because of the structure of our company where the founding family is still involved.
Right.
And so, we're always looking for ways to create value, and we take probably a little bit of a longer term view than many CPG companies. And so, right. I've said several times about our investment into cannabis. We might be early, but we're not wrong. This is a place that we want to play, and that's kind of Constellation style. Maybe we jump into things on the early side, but we think that creates value for us in the long run.
The industry and the potential of this is truly this generational moment, and we're all in the middle of the industry in one way or another. You guys right at the center. It's not difficult to understand the top-down macro. So as we get into the bottom-up, talk about how you surveyed the landscape and made this choice with this particular partner, who was a pioneer and a torchbearer and doing their thing up in Canada at a time when Canada was leading the world to grow this new industry.
It wasn't really even a hard decision for us because we did look at other companies in the space, but we very quickly got to the place where Canopy was already clearly a leader, and this is when we started talking to the company a few years ago, already clearly a leader. They had an outstanding set of talent. Of course, there was Bruce Linton and Mark Coulin, but underneath them there's an outstanding set of talent at all levels of leadership, whether it's sales and marketing, product development, production. Everybody we talked to there was outstanding, and then they already had a bit of a head start on brand building, behind Tweed and Tokyo Smoke and Spectrum, and so we felt that along with this really interesting set of intellectual property that they'd already started kind of going through the registration process for, really position them to be the ultimate leader in the space, and we being first in, we wanted to get kind of a bit of a courage premium, and so we wanted to make sure that we invested in the leader.
Mike Lee, let's talk a little bit about the transition, first of all, of your anchor investor, this partnership that's been built. Canada was first out there on the map in terms of a proper legalization process, and what are those strategic initiatives now for Canopy that you're most excited about? Because this is, and we all know this industry moves in light years. So this conversation, if we had it 12 months ago, even without the context of a merger, where are you guys now?
Yeah, we certainly have a lot going on. So today we're focused on Rec 2.0 in Canada, which is the first opportunity we'll have in the Canadian rec market to introduce new platforms such as beverages, vape, and edibles, which we're very excited about because we believe this is the first real opportunity to bring non-cannabis consumers to the category. And we also believe that these platforms will be an exciting way to innovate. Furthermore, we believe Rec 2.0 is critical to further converting the illicit market into the legal market, which is the entire...
Explain what that means, sorry.
Yeah, so the illicit market is the illegal market, and this was, in many ways, the motivation behind the Canadian government to introduce a rec market, is to bring it into the legal channel, tax it, regulate it, manage
Sounds
quality.
like what my grandfather used to tell me when I was about
That's exactly
11.
right. That's
Get the mob out of this.
That's
Let's,
right. That's right.
So
that's the underlying objective here, is to convert that illicit market. So Rec 2.0 is going to be a great avenue to innovate and provide more incentive for folks to come into the legal channel. Looking at our portfolio for Rec 2.0, we've been very quiet about it.
Yeah.
But let there be no doubt, we're excited about what we're bringing to market. And beverages, we've been researching beverages for years, and we believe that our products will offer the taste and quality and performance unmatched by anything we've seen in the U.S. market. And we think beverages are a great way for non-cannabis users to come into the category. So we're really excited about beverages. But looking beyond Canada, Rec 2.0, let's not forget about the U.S. So in the U.S., we're racing to market with a portfolio of CBD products that we're very excited about. The U.S. CBD market is projected to be a $22 billion market in the next few years, and we want our slice of the pie. So we did announce in January our intention to build an industrial hemp park in New York. But I can assure you we've made many more investments that we haven't talked about publicly since then.
Sure.
We're trying to quietly build an infrastructure so that we can come to market quickly. But let there be no doubt, this is the key point, is in the U.S., acreage is absolutely core to our strategy. And upon federal permissibility, you'll see Canopy and Acreage rapidly transform into a single company that has the largest production infrastructure in the entire market. We'll have the best portfolio of brands, and in my opinion, we'll have the strongest team.